business application support, support of business application. I supported external clients on remote basis. I was database administrator, developer, and analyst and project manager. So it sounds great. Such a list of position is not due to my outstanding, but it's because of evolution IT particular within the bank organization. So at the beginning of those 2001, it was considered as a norm to get a diploma of specialist in computer scientists and come to the bank at your first working play as a developer and perform absolutely all tasks related to computers. Asking to come and replace your cartridge in the printer, it was a normal request because you are a developer. It's your job responsibility. So, and sometimes to hear from accounting department, it was normal. Years passed and organization, including financial institutes, banks, and etc., they changed completely. They become more and more dependent on computer technologies, IT technologies, on data centers, on servers, on peripheral devices, and more attention was required to speed of IT services, to how to help our clients, help to internal users. And it was, let's say, amazing years when IT specialization, particularly in Ukraine, formalized these permutations that we have right now. Last but not least, once again, with business requirements, IT systems and IT systems security system became more and more complex. And for sure, for a person who supports these all systems, support users and developers for this, let's say, universal soldiers, was required to devote more time to the systems, and of course there was not enough time to deal with everything, to deal with all requests that this person got in parallel. Accordingly, you can imagine how it was difficult to employer who cares about the business to find a replacement for this outstanding person who should take care about everything related to computers. So segregation of IT profiles natively, it was a must for all companies, and all companies try to focus to segregate responsibilities of IT. IT specialization. And let's talk a little about those ones who are currently working in the bank, about this specialist, about their profiles, about their responsibilities, and probably we will try to touch a bit what would happen with these profiles in the future. First, to whom you will meet when you come to the bank and face with the difficulties, it's a help desk, well known, I guess, for everybody, service responsible for assistance of end users. In some cases, they're responsible for assistance and support of customers. At the first place, it looks quite simple. You call to someone, to write someone, and you receive assistance. No, it's not. I cannot agree that it's quite easy specialization in part of IT. This is a very irresponsible mission, and unfortunately, very often, nobody do not know names of this hero who helped even with advices in difficult situation. Also, there is opinion that it's not very useful specialization for starting your career in IT area. Yeah, I do not agree with this statement actually, because I personally know many good engineers who have good salary, good positions, and they started their career from the first line of support from help desk, from a guy who was answering on phone numbers and help with maybe with easy questions, but sometimes these easy questions are vital need for customers, for clients, and for the organization itself. Maybe you just found that it sounds like a contact center, the common service provided by many companies. Just to update and just to give you brief information that its contact center looks like a help desk of IT, because IT practices that were developed especially for the needs of IT services have been successfully transformed into services used by another industries, including contact center and services provided by contact center. So, in general, these guys and girls know everything, but a little bit. If they don't know something, they are capable to forward the request of clients and users for the second line of support, and we'll discuss about these guys a bit later. A few words about future of this specialization. I must state that in a couple of years, this specialization will be replaced for sure with solution like chatbot or something similar, and these guys and girls who answer it by phone, who help directly to user, will be retrained and will start work as trainees for artificial intelligence. So if you have just questions, feel free to interrupt me and just send to chat questions or raise your hands. We'll help. We'll answer immediately. We'll try to answer immediately. So also, what is the most important part of IT? Who is just dealing with end users and meet end users? It's just simple desktop engineers. It's a team which can replace your device whenever you want. They are capable to fix everything. They are capable to replace your hard drive, to fix your operational system, to replace your operational memory. They are able even to solve the wire if something happened to these computers or in the bank, and that it's probably the majority of organizations there is such team which working place usually looks like manufacturing. It's office full of spare parts, motherboards, cables, screens, and they are always sitting and repairing something. So let's move a bit grade on this next, let's say, level of engineers who are in IT profilers who are also working in the bank and in majority of organizations. If there is a difficult question and guys from the first line of support are not capable to answer, they are not capable to resolve the issue if they faced with something difficult, usually they forward this request to engineers who has more more deep knowledge in IT system. And usually on the second line of support, you are able to meet a business application support engineer, just IT support engineer. This engineer have deep knowledge in technology based on which business application is operating. This person knows everything about points of integration. He or she knows everything about satellite system which is needed to operate correctly all business operations. He or she knows everything about software components, infrastructure components which are linked to each other in different way. And last but not least, it's necessary, and in some cases it's mandatory, to know the business process which depends on proper functioning of this business application. Main task for these engineers, it's identification and resolve all the technical problems that may appear during stage, weeks, and etc. Installing and test the latest patches, updates on components of the system or on operational systems. Health monitoring, it's one of, let's say, major tasks for them. And for sure, it's performing preventive actions which may help to avoid future incidents in the future. The most effective way, by the way, to perform these duties for this engineer is just a simple read of logs of applications and different IT components. In many cases, they can identify the problem. In many cases, they can find the root of the problem and also make help to security specialists to find information regarding suspicious actions by correlating different logs. And believe me, it's not an easy task to find one record in the file, text file with million different records which are not easily linked to each others. For sure, this engineers has administrative rights to make changes and parameters on business systems. This engineer, IT support engineer, IT business application support engineer, works usually in close cooperation with another type of IT specialists, with another profiles, engineers who are responsible for system software, such as operation system specialist, Windows or Linux, network engineers who are responsible for the core network, for internet connection, for LAN local network, for equipment, which is must to organize interconnection, with database administrators, virtualization engineers. From my side, just want to add that a good business application support engineer, it's one of the key person in IT organization, and not particularly in our bank. His or her name is instantly become popular if something going wrong. So everybody knows who these guys and who's girls in some cases, and call to him or to her in any understand in case of any unclear questions, unclear behavior of the system, and etc. What about future of such type of profiles and specialization? So this process of their transformation already started. Probably many of you knows about new practices and about the name of profiles like DevOps, and more advanced it's DevSecOps. DevOps means development and operation. DevSecOps means development, security, and operation. And these guys, it's not log readers and troubleshooters. These guys already become participants and one of the major participants in software development process. They occupy quite more and more position in terms of development of software, in terms of reducing time which is needed to deliver product on the market. The requirement for such type of specialization also is growing constantly. Strong knowledge of virtualization system, cloud computing, network technology, different network technology, operational system, and for sure cyber security of application. It's just a small list of requirements for them. Also, just to mention that demand for them in the labor market is growing constantly. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, because sorry, I lost connection. Once again, I discussed about network engineers and looks like something happened with connectivity with the Zoom. Oh, so we'll continue. I started to discuss with about network administrators. It's guys who are responsible for connectivity of all services, servers. They're responsible for establishing internet connection. And their knowledge is not only about connectivity service, but also about security. In today's world, there's the soldiers who protect your data, and if we are speaking about the bank, they protect your money as well. Why? In many cases, they are the first who can and who identify criminals, attackers, hackers, and they first who take the first actions and the responsibility to protect environment of modern organization against such type of threats. In some cases, it may look like DevOps. They also should know about network connectivity. No, I think no. This specialization will continue to develop, and it will be necessary to invest a lot of growing such type of specialists. In my personal experience, to grow such specialist takes much more time than Java developer, for example. It's necessary to spend at least 5 years to train and prepare ready for, let's say, challenges network administrators instead of 1 or 2 years for training Java developer. This guy, for sure, in the future, this type of guys, this specialization, for sure, in the future, they will continue to take care about the core of network, about which actually is foundation for DevOps practice for developers. And they will continue to maintenance of network equipment and systems which are aimed to protect environment of modern organization. And actually, as I mentioned before, the system will become more and more complex, more and more smart, in parallel, more smart and more complex. And now designing of network segmentation is also just a part of daily hard work of such type of profiles. A few words about sysadmins. I know about, you heard a lot about sysadmins. Who are they? In organization, particularly in bank organization, financial organization, sysadmins, it's several different specialization, and I will start from guys who are responsible for virtualization. Virtualization of servers and equipment nowadays, it's in fact, it's a standard for functioning of all servers and all data centers. So it's a core of any type of data center, including clouders, so like AWS, Google, etc. It is why there is a separate position of engineer who should know everything about system virtualization that is used by organization. Hyper-V, VMware, and many others, and his responsibility is monitor the state of health of the system, constantly deployment the latest security patches, updates of functionality, ensuring availability of the system almost in the 24/7 mode, and constant optimization of resource consuming, resource planning, and last but not least, fortunately, it's not possible without it. It's resolving issue on production in cooperation with DevOps, support engineers, network engineers. All virtualization systems are built based on huge, big data storage system. Data storage system, it's a big hard drive, big smart hard drive, and for sure physical servers. These devices also require constant maintenance and support from another type of engineers, which we may call sometimes in corridors like Iron Man. It's engineers who knows everything about how service is built, from which part it consists of, how it's necessary to connect a organized cluster with the server, how it's necessary and in the best way to connect the server into smart data storage, and they are capable to deploy, and they must to deploy once again on a regular basis to update the latest update of firmware for the servers, for this data storage, for everything. Database expert, well known as DBA or database administrators, are always on a separate level. It's specific work just statistically, if the application doesn't matter which one is mobile, web application, back office application, if it's running slowly or doesn't work, the first place to look at it's database. Usually, majority cases, database it's a source of performance issue. Yes, I agree that latest components for software developments allow to developers and to you to develop software without thinking about database restriction, about version of this database, about manufacture of this database. From one side, it allows to develop in a quite fast way application and deliver it on market and bring added value for organization. But from the other side, it may cause difficulties in case of performance issue. In any case, it's necessary to think with which database you work, what is cost optimizer, how to collect statistics, what is index R. And on this stage, database administrator often remind developers on some simple and mandatory rules which they must follow during development of the application to avoid issue with performance. And finally, the database, it's data. The data is the most valuable assets of any organization, bank, fintech, telecom, etc. It's, I guess, it's not discussable. And if you talk about the bank, it's a money of the people. It is why almost 80% of efforts of database administrators are directly linked to keeping data available and secured. Let's talk a bit about now let's see what kind of software for which network administrators, database administrators, server administrators, support devotees make all their effort and constantly sometimes troubleshoot. If a business has an idea with a product that would help to achieve the company's strategical goals, they usually come to IT. Business analyst meets them with the idea, collect their needs, formalize this need, suggest to business how to do it in a better way and in which system. And in parallel, business analyst, while the business doesn't see it, he met with system analyst who knows exactly about all system details. Business analyst also meet with integration analyst who knows how to organize interaction with the systems in a proper way. And ask them question, is it possible to deploy the ideas of business in this way or not possible? If they find obstacles on their way, they both together with system analyst and business analyst came to solution architect and ask him about the conclusion, how it's better to develop this, deploy these new ideas. When everything is collected, business idea is formalized, IT solution architect and system architects know what to do and how to develop. This idea is should be presented to the business. If business agree with the cost and time frame which is needed to develop everything that was put on a paper, analysts and solution architects, they come to developer, and developer should translate everything that was written on the paper by a system and business analyst and translator it into source code, which is in one day will be translated in digital product, which can be delivered to end customers. So developers spent a lot of time to translate it, to find proper, to translate it in source code, to deploy, to perform some specific internal test. And on the next stage, as a result of this work, deploy it on test environment. And on this step, we will see quality assurance engineers. Quality assurance engineers, there are two types of such type of engineers, in particular in our case. The first type of engineers, it's those one who are capable to automatize testing process by writing specific scripts and store the script for further reusing. And also there are engineers and testers who are performing manual tests and who are performing actually manual testing. Analysts, business analysts on some steps may join this process of testing, either automatic or manual, and advise to tester on which point they should put more attention, to advise them how to build the process of testing, to advise the functional points which should be added to scenario of test in order to perform regress test, for example, if you touch some piece of functionality. And finally, if everything is okay, the result of it should be passed for business for your IT testing and decision making, go on production. This process, it's just a simple description of software development process, and it doesn't mean is it agile or waterfall methodology is used for, but manage this process, this interaction is the responsibility of project manager. In some cases, it can be delivery manager. It's a person who is in charge of this process of implementation in new product. He managed activity of manage and plan activity of analysts, testers, developers, and also it's a person who is responsible for identifying the risk of the project, identifying deadlines of the project, and in general, he is responsible for successful delivery on production. Everything that was done by sometimes a huge team. His responsibility is interaction with product owners, with stakeholders to present a timeline of the project, and in many cases it's also happened he should be responsible for shifting deadlines. Such type of specialists like analysts, developers, testers, solution architect, project managers, it's the most creative part of overall IT perimeter of each and every organization, I guess. Of course, just a small disclaimer that this description that I mentioned before, it's not focused on specific technology, methodology of management of the project, agile, waterfall, Scrum, etc. Globally, everything is look like this, and it looks like interaction of this many people, many talented people. And on the final stage, when it's done, responsibility of this team, developers of this team is not finished yet. If something happened, if new questions from the client, from internal client, from the office units appeared, and the first line of support, help desk, and the second line of support, IT support engineers, are not capable to answer or to deal with the problem. Development team, all this team, including analysts and developers are performing the third line of support. They're deploying of fix, they answer on the question regarding methodology, they, in some cases, they may create may answer to end users questions related to how to use the system. They are responsible for preparing their guidelines and so on. On this stage, the activities in terms of products is not finished yet. It's just one message. Almost 40 minutes I talk about about many people, about many different profiles, about many specialization and but they all should work, especially development and R&D team. They should work in some framework. They should follow some standard and rule which are identified, developed, and implemented by another layer of specialists. It's we call them internally in our organization enterprise architects. These people develop integration scheme on a high level. These people are responsible for infrastructure scheme on a high level. They're responsible to design, once again, on a bit higher level of system and components, ensuring their reusability in the future. Reusability, manageability, ensuring possibility to update the system in case of obsolete components used for development. And last but not least, it's a must for them to avoid duplicated functionality, especially if we speak about several development teams which are working in parallel in Scrum and try to develop the same components in parallel. We had in the past a couple of issues related to this, but implementing of this role as enterprise architects, this issue disappeared completely. Last but not least, enterprise architect using their activity in their daily work, policies and rules identified by CISO, Chief Information Officer, and strictly follow these rules. Just to ensure security of overall global environment of financial organization, and taking into account a lot of list of risks like cyber risk, availability, continuity, and integrity risks, and their work is aimed to mitigate everything that we can imagine at the beginning of the project. And you may see that a huge amount of people. Looks like it's a huge amount of people. All they are different. They have different knowledge. They have different experience, and so. And on this step, there is needs how to manage them, how to control them, how to push them to work like one single mechanism. For these purposes, particularly in our bank, in our organization, we have a unit, IT governance, which is responsible for development and implementing rules of interaction between several units, between several IT profiles, IT specialists. They are responsible for develop rules according to which and on which step person, specialist is able to make a decision to change some parameter, for example. They develop a procedure according to which each and every player, and each and every specialist should raise the problem to senior management with the proposals what to do in order not to repeat it in the future. Also, they are responsible for development, approval, and control service layer agreement with stakeholders, with business owners, and report to them on monthly, weekly, quarterly basis about quality of service delivered by all IT units, absolutely all IT units. Also, they are responsible for development of rules of interaction between first, second, and third support. In some specific cases, when we speak about complex complex business project, for example, it's just onboarding of clients, which should touch a huge amount of back office IT system, front office system, and should managed by many different units of the bank, including compliance, business lines, frontline managers, middle line managers. It's a huge process. And when this process is automatized to identify a problem on one specific step of the process, it's quite difficult. It is why for such type of huge processes, we and many other organizations also as well allocate specific person with the role as a service manager. Service manager, it's a usually person who knows absolutely in all details business process. He knows on which system compliance should push button again. She or he knows everything about integration. She knows about schedule of data transferring between systems. And when the problem is appeared, the service manager knows to whom he should push in order to speed up resolve of this issue with client, or its internal issue, or its internal misunderstanding between units of the bank. Also, the responsibility of service managers, it's quality of the service which should be delivered to business, and finally on the final step it's visible to end clients and our customers. Last but not least, it's a group of people, usually in the past they're engineers, network engineers, with the background of virtualization, with the background of operation system management, with good knowledge of theory of operational system. And this group of people, group of guys, they are responsible to manage the settings and securitization of the system. It's a very well-known IT security team. They are responsible for determining specific security policies and rules for securitization workstation. They're responsible for develop rules for protections against various types of attacks, cyber attacks. They are taking care about antivirus protection system. They are taking care about firewalls and malware system, which are quite important if you speak about protection of overall environment of the bank. They are engaged in collection of logs to identify potential dangerous actions of attacks. And also they stand in defense of the entire information systems landscape of the bank. In parallel, they have to work in close cooperation with the development team as a consultants on how to develop this functionality to be in line with the security rules deployed by them. And in many cases, they perform a function of advisor, how to do it in a better way in order not to lose money. Preliminary, that is all that I want to share with you. For sure, it's not the final list of IT or around IT specialization. There are also FinOps, it's people who are middle IT and finance. There are IT recruiter, which are between IT, let's say, environment and HR services. So there are also many people which touch in some way of IT activities and from which overall IT environment of the bank depends on. Just to remind you that it's not, let's say, mandatory, de facto, standardized list of IT specialists that must work within financial institute or the bank. No, it's just briefly the list of specialization which are currently we are looking for. Maybe you are looking for work within this type of activities. In many organizations, they may have another names, they may have another purposes. It depends on organization culture, organization risk culture, project management standard and rules, technological standard and rules. But in general, in majority of organization, you will find all these profiles and which are taking care about services for clients and for availability. So, if you are not, I hope I was not so boring, and if you have questions, feel free to ask, ready to answer in chat or orally.
I have one question. I've asked that in the chat. If you may answer, I would like to hear that information.
Chat. Let me open chat because I cannot see it. Sorry, just a few minutes. We'll double check.
Okay.
Chat. Cannot see any messages in the chat.
Okay, I may.
So good afternoon. As far as I know, the performance and reliability of system also depends on the architectural decision during server-side development. Maybe this is a bit of topic for this webinar, but I was wondering if you could recommend a book on system design. So right now I am not ready to answer regarding a book on system design. If you are interested, just send me your email in chat, and I for sure will reply you.
Okay, thank you.
Advices on this topic. And also I will ask real enterprise architects to answer to you with his recommendation. But in general, before reading many interesting book, I would recommend you to read a bit about TOGAF. It's a standard framework of building enterprise architecture. There are a lot of articles on it in Ukrainian and in English. It's quite easy to read compared to another IT standard, but it can help you to give a global vision how it should be organized, and also just to understand the difference between layers of architecture, which may depend on decision.
Okay, thank you very much. I've sent to my email. I would be honorable to see the reply. Thank you.
I cannot see email, so I already copy pasted. So because when I disconnect, I will lose this email for sure.
I will send it.
One moment. Storage done. So
thank you.
Today evening or tomorrow, guys, will send you advices with the book which are capable to find even on Amazon.
Okay, thank you very much.
So, colleagues,
So guys, any question?
so thank you for your attention. If
Thank you so much, Evgeny, for participating in our Olympiad. And thank you to all.
thank you, and hope I will see soon many participants of your exercise in the staff of Credit Agricole.
Thank you. Thank
See
you.
you. Bye.
Thank you. Have a nice day. Goodbye.
Bye, Maximilian.
Bye.